welcome along to the next instalment of Smart Landlord 2019 here on Property Tribes. We are championing the cause of the Smart Landlord throughout January as part of our 10th anniversary celebrations. And right now I'm delighted to be joined by Essex property developer Martin Johnson of Parkview Developments. And Martin, so interesting to talk to you and get your perspective on this. First of all, what do you think of our concept of the smart landlords? Are landlords going to have to be smarter in 2019?
Without a doubt. I mean, I think that the economy and everything that's going on at the moment clearly shows that landlords will need to be smarter.
It's becoming more challenging, isn't it?
It's much more challenging. There's a lot to consider, considering the needs of tenants, etc. Without a doubt, it's a good cause. Parkview Developments has been going for 3.5 years. I come from a construction background myself. It seemed to be the natural progression to go into property development. So we started out, bought one plot, built a house, sold it on, did it again, went on to permitted development scheme. Went quite well, and so far it's been going well. But considering the kind of the climate at the moment, the market's kind of just cooled off a little bit. It's kind of encouraged us to look at going into the buy to rent market, and that's a strategy we're looking to adopt in 2019.
Indeed. Now, you mentioned there very nonchalantly that you bought a house, you knocked it down, you built a new one. To me, I'm a very low risk investor. I just do single occupancy buy to let and holiday lets. Yes, you came from the construction background, but how did you, how did you have the strength, the mental strength to take on such a challenging project as one of your first projects?
I think it helps coming from a construction background. Lots of people that I speak to seem to be so concerned of builders that their costs keep going up and they're not quite sure, and we didn't have that to worry about. For us, it was a little bit more kind of trying to understand the finance product and making sure we weren't overrunning. But ultimately, we just tried to keep three things in mind. How much does the land cost? How much is the construction cost? What do we think we can make out of this? And our focus wasn't so much on trying to squeeze every last penny out. It was trying to make sure we made some money and we got out of there successfully, and it was a nice place for somebody to live. It was a home rather than a house. And that for us it didn't feel particularly high risk because we spent a lot of time crunching our numbers.
Well, very, very important to do that. And did you, as each project went along, did you try and kind of raise your game a little bit each time and do something slightly more adventurous? Yeah,
we learnt a lot from each project. The first time probably took a little bit too long, so we thought, okay, where can we sharpen up? How can we add a little bit of value into this? And which is an important word, value, because it's not just how can we do this more cheaper, it's how can we make this a much better product which makes it more saleable, a nicer home for somebody, and we tried to tighten up on areas so that we could add like a sound system in there and those sort of little bits and pieces. So that's even now we still learn every single project.
Well, that's what smart landlords do.
Yes.
They keep on learning. I think it's interesting because you're very much aiming at the first time buyer.
Yes.
For your exit when you were selling your developments. When you go into the landlord space, will you be kind of then tailoring that to kind of the first time renter?
Yes, I think we will. It seems to be, when you look at the market as a whole, that feels particularly buoyant, that first time renter market. The fact is that there's not enough properties for people to live in, and the economy is still generally quite good. People are still working and they want to get on the ladder, whether it's buying or renting in particular. So it feels like a buoyant end of the market. So it feels like a good opportunity.
How much did the 3% stamp duty surcharging impact on your development business? Because I speak to a lot of developers and they say it is the margins have been slimmed, and then with your Brexit uncertainty, I can see a lot of people in your position as a developer turning to buy to hold, because that's what the market is really showing you the way to go.
Yeah, it kind of, it definitely is showing that. I mean, the surcharge for the stamp duty it's tough to take. You can kind of understand why they did it, but it feels like the wrong people are being made to pay. It kind of feels that developers and landlords get a bit of a bad name when there are some rogues out there, but most of the people are just it's a business. They're trying to earn a living, but most developers and landlords that I know are trying to create homes and provide the service for people, and it's only the bad ones that you hear about. So it is a shame, and it has made it a little bit tighter, but you have to try and find ways of of trying to increase the margin again.
Yeah, of course, and and look for the angles, as we always say.
Exactly. Yeah.
One of the things I love about property is that when one door closes, there will be another one you can open if you choose to go and look for it. And again, I think that's what the smart landlord does. They hunt for the angle and the opportunity.
Without a doubt. I mean, you always need to try and work the angles. Without a doubt, and it's quite easy to be pessimistic and go, this has happened and that's happened, but it's the complete wrong attitude to have. I mean, you need to think, okay, right, that particular market's not working at the moment. Where is the value in the property market? There's always value, and I mean, you look at a lot of London-based developers. What are they doing? The London market's kind of stagnated a little bit, quite a bit. So now they're looking out into the suburbs, and it's just you're just trying to diversify, to keep going.
Indeed. Now, just to finish then, I guess what I would ask you is, what would be your number one tip for a smart landlord to take on board in 2019?
I think
what would be the biggest lesson perhaps that you've ever learned?
I think the biggest lesson that I've learned is to be willing to change and to diversify. Don't just go, okay, I have one plan, this is what I'm going to do. If it's not working for an obvious reason, such as that market's just not particularly moving, then shift your focus. There's plenty of different options out there, whether it's buy to lets, HMO, build to sell, whatever it is. You need to try and keep yourself fluid and be diverse.
I think that's wonderful advice, and I think what's interesting is that you, in a way, you're actually going down the build to rent now, aren't you?
Yeah,
because you're actually creating new properties from demolition and stuff like that.
Yep.
And I think that is a great strategy for anybody to consider in the current market conditions, as long as you get your product right.
Exactly, the product is key. I think it's you need to understand your market, try not to over specify and just create a good product. If you create a good sound product, I don't think there'll be any problems.
Fantastic. Well, it's really great to have your input here on our Smart Landlord campaign for 2019. And do you mind me asking how old you are?
Just turned 30.
Oh, well, it's fantastic to see young people like you doing good stuff in property. It's been a real pleasure to meet you.
You too.
And do stay tuned to Smart Landlord 2019. Lots more to come. If you've been watching this video on YouTube, I would like to invite you across to propertytribes.com. That is where our discussions are hosted. And I'm sure if you've got any questions for Martin, you would be willing to answer them on
Definitely.
Property Tribes, wouldn't you?
100%.